Hey YouTube, welcome to my channel. I'm Nikki from Janique Fashions. So if you've been watching my channel recently, you might know about this fun challenge that I've been doing with Christi from I'm So Excited. So what are we doing? We are spinning a wheel at random to pick clothes for each other to make. So we're picking the fabric, we're picking the type of garment, we're picking the type of place you would wear the clothing, and we're picking out one little extra thing that goes on the outfit. So welcome Christi to see what I have to make this week.
Hi, my name is Christy. I'm from I'm So Excited, and I'm here to pick Nikki from Janique Fashions' next challenge. So she just picked for me, and I'm not all that thrilled with the items that were randomly chosen for me. So it's payback time, Nikki. Just kidding. It's actually all at random. We have a randomizer. It is an app that I've loaded in all of her fabrics that are left. Obviously the one that she used from last time's challenge is missing from the wheel since you can't go back in time and redo it. Anyways, and she did a fantastic job on her pants. Way to go, Nikki.
Thanks, Christi. Just jumping in to say you did a fantastic job on your skirt as well.
I'm gonna pick the next fabric for her for this next upcoming challenge at random. It's hard to do when you go backwards. Okay, what's it gonna be? What's it say? Oh, okay. That was one that I liked. I think she likes it too. So this kind of floral black, gray, and white print.
Yes, I absolutely love that fabric.
I have loaded in the garment style. So it will randomly select from a dress, a skirt, a shirt, or a jumper / romper, whichever one. I have eliminated pants, and she did pants last time. So let's spin the wheel and see what she gets. What is it?
Please be a dress, please be a dress, please be a dress.
Jumper romper. Jumper romper.
Okay, so not a dress, but I can totally make a jumper or a romper work.
Here, okay. So I've loaded in the next category, which is the style. So what style of garment it's going to be. So she had special occasion last time, so I've eliminated that off the list. So she has to pick from formal, loungewear, sporty, or casual this time. So let's spin the randomizer wheel and see what she's got. All right, what's she got? Casual.
All right, so casual is fine. I was kind of hoping for this really fancy dress with this wonderful floral fabric, but I can do a casual romper. Let's see what's next.
And the last category is an extra something that the garment has to include. So last time her pants had pockets. So I've left pockets off of the list, but the randomizer, which is not doing a good job of randomizing the colors, I might say. Anyways, are trim, buttons, zipper, flower, lining, or a decorative stitch. With these overly used colors that this randomizer randomly selected, let's see what the last one's gonna be. Zipper! She hates zippers.
Very true.
I'm sorry,
Not a
Nikki.
fan of
I'm
zippers.
sure you'll be able to pull it all together and make something absolutely fantastic, just like you did last time with the pants. So good luck, and I'm sure it'll be fantastic. Have fun!
All right, so before I start sewing my romper, just had to remind you, don't forget to check out the description box below where all of the YouTuber versus YouTuber sew-off videos are linked in a playlist. Trust me, you want to see the whole series. It's been a lot of fun. All right, don't forget to press like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to head over to Christi's channel and subscribe to her as well. All right, enjoy the tutorial. All right, so this is the fabric that was chosen for this challenge. I will also be using my black bullet as it goes really well with the texture of this fabric. My fabric is folded in 4, so I folded it in half and then folded it in half again. For my pattern, I'll be using a Harem Pants that I've made in the past. And a Harem Pants is wider in the hips, and I want that look. I want to have the romper be shorts, but I want it to have a nice loose fit to the bottom. I folded my pants in half, and so now I will be using the pants to create the shape of each leg. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pin around the shape and then cut it out. So now we have 4 layers of fabric all pinned together. Both legs are pinned together. So in order to separate the legs, I need to unpin each of these pins and grab 2 layers of fabric. So I'm grabbing the 2 top layers, pinning those together, and then I'll do the same for the 2 bottom layers of fabric. And I'm going to go ahead and do that for the whole line here of pins and hair as well. So I've pinned the legs, and now I can sew up the sides and the seam on the inside. I will leave this open because this is where it's going to be joined to the other leg. Alright, so here I have each of my legs. They are complete, but notice that they're still separate. One leg is right side out and the other is inside out. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the leg that is right side out and I'm going to stick it into the leg that is inside out. So once one leg is inside the other leg, you want to make sure everything is lined up correctly. So you want to go ahead and check the seams and make sure the seams are lined up with each other, and the right side should be facing the right side. And then you can go ahead and pin or legs together. So notice that the pins in the back of the shorts joining the 2 legs together are very close to the edge. That's because I want to make sure that I have as much space as possible, because I don't want the shorts to be tight in the back. But in the front, notice I have the pins much further in. And the reason for that is because I don't want it to sag in the front. However, normally if I was just making shorts without a zipper, I would go ahead and sew all around where the pins are once I've tried it on and make sure that it works. But for this piece, because we are going to have a zipper in a part of the shorts, I am going to leave a part of this in the front just pinned for now. After pinning the legs together, it's extremely important to try this on to make sure you have the fit that you want. That harem pants fit is a bit tricky, and so you definitely want to make sure that you are cinching the waist correctly, getting enough width in the hip, and so all the adjustments that I needed to make sure that this fits properly, I just made. And so I am going to go ahead and sew this up, but I am going to leave a significant space here unsewn and just keep it pinned so that I can install the zipper later. The bottom of our romper is pretty much complete. The length is not correct, but I will fix that later when I'm working on the finishing touches. And I have not yet sewn up the front because there will be a zipper coming through the front of this short. So I am going to just leave it pinned for now. And what I'm going to work on now is a waistband. So I cut 3.5 inches width of fabric and it stretches in this direction. And the waistband will not be that wide, but I wanted to have plenty of room for seam allowance joining to the shorts and joining to the top part of the romper. So I made it 3.5, which is more than I need. Alright, so when I tried this shorts on, I actually pinned along the area where I wanted the waistband to meet. So in the back, there are pins super close to the top of the waistband. Maybe you can see that there. But in the front, the pins are much further down. And so that's so that the waistband is actually hitting exactly where I wanted that waistband to hit the whole way around. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the waistband that we cut and I am going to place it right side to right side on the shorts. And since this is the area of the shorts that will open up for the zipper, I'm going to make sure that the waistband has a lot of seam allowance here. I want to just make sure it has enough so that I can do what I need to do with the zipper here. And I'm going to pin my waistband to the shorts right side to right side along the pins that I have marking that area. Alright, so I just finished pinning my waistband to my shorts right side to right side, and so it will look a little bit like that when it's sewn up. So I'm going to go ahead and take this to the sewing machine and sew it together with a zigzag stitch. But before I do, I'm going to make sure to get rid of all these bulky little seam allowances inside. Alright, so as you can see, my waistband is now attached to the shorts. However, in the front, I am leaving my opening for the zipper, so the waistband is not attached to the shorts in the very front. Now I'm going to transition to the top. When I create a tube top or something that is shaped like a tube top, I just take the tube top, I double up the fabric, and I trace the shape out. However, because I have a zipper here, super challenging now, I am only going to trace out one panel at a time. So I'm going to trace out the shape of the back first, and which is why you can see the right side of the fabric. So I'm putting my tube top here on top of the fabric, and I'm going to leave about 1 inch seam allowance, and I'm just going to cut the shape of the back panel. So this is a very rough shape of our back panel. Now that we have that shape, we're going to go ahead and cut the shape of our front panel. It's going to be a very similar shape, however, we need seam allowance not just on the left and the right side, but we also need a seam allowance going down the center. So I am going to make this a little bit bigger when I cut the front panel. And I place it on top of the fabric, right side down, and this is going to be the front. This is going to be the front of the fabric. And so I have a seam allowance over here and over here. On top of the seam allowance I already have for this, because I am going to have to create the zipper, and the zipper will need its own seam allowance in the center. Alright, so here we have the front panel. Notice how wide that is. I want to now cut straight down the center so that I have the spot in which I'll put the zipper. Now, to make sure that I have this symmetric, I am going to fold this in half, and I am going to cut to make sure everything is even, and then I'm going to cut straight down the center. Alright, so here is my back panel again, and here are my 2 pieces that I cut for the front panel. And this was the center that I cut straight down the middle. And so I am going to go ahead and lay this out on top of my back panel. However, I will be pinning the seams on the edge. So I'm lining up the ends, and then whatever's extra will be seam allowance in the middle. Here are our 3 panels pinned together. So this is the front on one side, this is the front on the other side, and we have our back, which is just one single panel. So I'm going to go ahead and sew up the side seams, but I'm going to leave this open so that we can have our zipper inserted here. So I pulled the shorts back out and I tried it on. And when I tried it on, I decided I wanted the waistband to be 1.25 inches width. So I took some pins and I marked out the width of the waistband that I want. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to finally start putting the top, the shirt part that we somewhat made, together with the shorts. So I want my opening to be where the opening for the shorts is. So the opening will be right here in the front, and I am going to go ahead and pin my shirt right side to right side on the waistband where I marked those pins out. I'm also going to make sure that the seam of the shirt aligns at least closely to the seam of the shorts. There is no seam on the waistband, and that's okay, so they won't line up exactly, and that's completely fine. But I want to make sure that the seam is in approximately the same place. I don't want the seam on the side here and then at the front of the shirt. Alright, so I tried this on and I decided that I wanted this top piece to come up to here. I use the pin to mark it, and I'm going to cut off the excess fabric. I've cut another band that's 3.5 inches in width, and I'm going to attach this to the top in the same way that I attached the waistband. So I'm going to go ahead and put the right side of my fabric, of my black fabric, to the right side of my floral fabric. Alright, so I finished pinning right side to right side, and I went all the way around, but of course stopped where I have to keep the zipper space open. So I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew this on, of course, with a zigzag stitch. Alright, so in order to add this zipper, I actually do want a piece of that black tape showing. I think it looks really nice with the black and the silver showing over the black and the silver of the fabric. So I'm not going to pin too close to the zipper. I'm going to actually pin a little bit outside of the zipper. I'm going to turn it upside down, and I want some of the black that we just added to show. So I'm going to place my zipper about 1 inch up into the black, and I'm going to go ahead and pin the right side of the zipper to the right side of the fabric. So when it turns, it's going to look like that. I don't know if you're able to see it, but I will bring it closer after I pin it. So I lined everything up, so now the waistband is lined up and the top is lined up and the zipper is pinned on. And I'm going to base stitch the zipper on, and the reason I am going to base stitch by hand is because with this stretchy fabric, with this knit fabric, things tend to move around a lot, and I want to make sure that things don't move out of place. So in order to keep it in place where it is right now, I'm going to go ahead and base stitch. And so to base stitch the zipper on to the fabric, I have my needle and thread already here, and I have a knot on the end, and I'm just going to go in at the edge here where the first pin is. Let's just make sure you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and follow the pins. So it's kind of exactly what the pin is doing, but it's just going to do a better job of holding the fabric down. So no fancy stitching here, just going in and out. Let's turn that in this direction. So in with the needle, down and then back up, and then I'll just do that the whole way down on both sides to hold the zipper in place before I take it to the machine. So I finished base stitching the zipper onto the fabric, and this should hold it in place so it won't shift around now as I'm sewing, and that will help a lot. It does take a little bit more time, but it's definitely worth it. I've also changed my presser foot, so I have a zipper foot here. I'm trying to get a little bit closer so you can see what that zipper foot looks like. And so for the zipper foot, what that helps us to do is to make sure that as you're sewing, you're not going to have the needle pressing down on the zipper and messing up your zipper. So now my needle is lined up with my base stitch, and I'm just going to go over the base stitch. Alright, so here's what the whole zipper looks like, and it looks like it worked out. So I do still have to do the top, and you may remember we never actually closed up the bottom of the shorts, so I still have pins here. And so I'm going to change my foot back, my presser foot back to my regular foot, and sew the bottom of the shorts. Alright, so here's the inside of the shorts that I hadn't sewn yet because I was waiting to see how far the zipper went down. And so I'm going to continue the seam that I started earlier, follow the pins until I get to the zipper, and then I'm just going to go right up next to the zipper in order to close that seam. Now it's time to hem the top of our romper and to fix the top of the zipper. So of course we can't have this zipper tape just sticking out here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take my scissors and I am going to snip. I'm not going to snip it off. I'm just going to snip about half or maybe a little bit more than half of the tape. All right, so now that we've snipped that section, what we can now do is turn this in so that we can get a nice finished look. And then we can hem this fabric. So I'm not going to cut off anymore. I'm just going to go ahead and double fold this and hold the zipper down with the black fabric that I've turned. And I'm going to fold that the whole way through and do that to the other side, and then sew the hem with a zigzag stitch. So that's what it looks like on the inside, and that's what it looks like finished on the outside. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, hem around, and do the same thing for the other side of the zipper. All right, now that our zipper is done, the only thing that's left is to adjust the length of the leg. So this is the length that I wanted after being hemmed. So I'm going to go ahead and add about 1.5 inches to that, maybe even a little bit more, and cut so that I can hem to that length. So if you stuck around that long, thanks so much. My romper turned out to be quite a time commitment, not just for me making it, but for you watching and waiting to see it. So without further ado, let's go.